How's it going, aliens? My name's Alien. Today I'm back on another Identity 5 video, and today's video will be my Hunter Academy for Ivy. So let's get right into the video. Okay, so I've done Hunter Academy videos before. If you go down my channel, I've done one for Dream Witch and I've done one for Naiad. So if you're interested in learning about those hunters, make sure to check those out. And this one will be for Ivy. If you haven't seen a Hunter Academy before, I go over many things. I go over an introduction to the character, her strengths and weaknesses. I'll go through a walkthrough match with you to show how to play her. I go over her best persona, the best trait, the survivors that counter her, her best maps, and I will also go over gameplay, high tier professional gameplay, and commentate over what's going on in the gameplay. So I should have the timestamps for each of these sections, but let's start off with the introduction to the character. So we'll start with the scales of the character. These are the external traits of Ivy. Just go through these and I'll discuss basically what she does. So Ivy has two different hunters that she controls. She has her main body and she has her ghost. If you're used to Dream Witch, the main body on Ivy is essentially the follower for Dream Witch, and the ghost is essentially the main body for Dream Witch. It's actually reversed. So the ghost cannot do any damage, it can't attack, it can't do anything, but it's faster and it can go over windows, pallets, stuff like that. The point of the ghost is to infect survivors. So when you infect a survivor, think of it as a Hellenberg puppet. It's basically a stone that builds this radius and builds up your visage bar. The visage bar is basically the entire point of Ivy's kit, is that you're trying to get that bar to go up to 100 for a survivor, because when it does, they get pulled into you. So this bar goes up if they're looking at her, if they get jump scared by her, or if they are standing in this circle, or her max presence also builds this bar up. So it's basically like a Hellenberg puppet. That's what these stones are for. So if you put on a cipher, you don't want to be in the stone, because like a puppet, the Ivy will know she can teleport to it, get a hit on you. So you're going to wait it out, and then you break the stone the same way you break a Hellenberg puppet. As for the bar, that kind of works like Naiad, because instead of doing damage at 100, it pulls you into her, but she's going to attack you. So it basically does the same thing. She's a map control hunter. She's a heavy map control hunter. That's the entire point of her. That's her biggest strength. For her weaknesses, she doesn't have the best chase. You have to think of her chase similar to Dream Witch, to where if we talk about Dream Witch's chase ability, we would rank it very low, because none of her abilities really boost her chase. But in a real game, we all know Dream Witch's chase isn't that bad, because of the way her kit all functions together. Ivy's similar, to where her chase kit is not good, but the way everything kind of plays together, it isn't bad. It's good enough. But these are still the weaknesses. They don't have great chase abilities by any means. Camping is not bad. Her camping isn't bad. It's not amazing. It's not bad. I would say it's better than average, because she does have the ability to double down or to even stuff the rescuer. So it's not anything insane, but it's not bad either. Her camping is really similar to Naiad, but like if Naiad's camping was way slower, you know, and like way worse basically. But the way it functions with, you're taking this bar, it's going up while you're by the chair, and you have to get the save off before it gets to 100, or else you're probably going to take 2 hits. It's the same thing, it's just way slower. For tier, Ivy is S tier. When she first came out, Ivy was S+++ tier. She's one of the best hunters we've ever seen in this game, but that's just because the devs made her way too overpowered. They overtuned her insanely, but she's gotten many nerfs since then. Her biggest nerf came actually a couple weeks ago with Singer, and it does affect her. It affects her in game a lot, and it affects her early game as well. It does affect her, but she's still S tier. In fact, she's probably the only S tier hunter in the game currently. She's the best hunter in the game. She was probably tied with Singer for the best. It all depended on what you wanted. Singer was more consistent, but Ivy had a higher ceiling. So like Singer highest floor, Ivy highest ceiling type of thing. Nowadays, Singer's ceiling, it has dropped so much, while Ivy's ceiling hasn't dropped too much. So Ivy is certainly the best hunter in the game when fully mastered. She is a difficult hunter. She's a 3-star difficulty for a reason. She's one of the 5 hardest hunters in the game to play. So that does it for the intro. Let's get into the walkthrough match, and I will show you basically the fundamentals on how I play Ivy. Let's skip it. I'm gonna do practice mode. Yeah, practice mode. And we can just do a simple match like Richard. But how I play Ivy and how she works, because I've discussed how she works in real games, but it's easier if you actually see the things. So persona and trait, don't worry too much about that right now, because I'll discuss that after this. And there are a few things I want to highlight specifically. So we jump into the game right now. I want to just turn the bots off so that we can start. So when you jump into a game, usually hopefully with spawn selection, you instantly put your ghost out. What you want to do is you want to send your ghost one way, you want to send your main body the other way. What I would advise and what my general game plan is if you have spawn selection, right, and you know the survivor you want to chase, you want to send your main body to that survivor. So let's say it's an anti spawned right here, and it was a barmaid spawned reception, right, and you saw my spawn. I would send my main body to the anti, and I would send the ghost to the barmaid, because Anti's a good chase while barmaid isn't for Ivy. So what that would mean is I'd be able to leech the barmaid, hopefully at this cipher, and then just keep chasing the Anti. So I'm going to keep chasing the Anti. Then let's say someone spawns here. I'm just going to keep chasing her. I'm not really engaging with her at any point. Like if this is this here, for example, right? Let's turn it back on. I'm not really chasing, but I'm just keeping them in my sight, because then I will leech this cipher, right? So now they have 2 ciphers leech. Now I may pull it back out and chase this seer. Now that we start the chase itself, you want to get a 40 on them. So you want to scare them like that. Once you get the scared 40, that's when you want to leech. And you see that. So he's at 67, right? So Ivy works in functions of of 20 and 40 because at 100 you get the pull. You basically get hit at 100, right? So the game specifically made her circle the exact range so that if you take it, like when you leash onto a survivor, right, and they run, they're going to take 20 from it. So if you scare them for 40 and they take 20 from this, they're at 60. So at that point, you have a hit because whenever this comes back off of cooldown, you should have a guaranteed 100 because you can see where they're looking. So this is all on purpose. I do want to mention that technically, if the survivor is running straight, right, and you scare them, and they never stop running straight, then they may take 18, right? But let's say the survivor's standing still, you scare, and they instantly run straight, they're going to take 20. So sometimes you may get 98s, and that's unfortunate. But the only thing I can kind of tell you for that is you never want to put the leech when they're under any type of speed boost. So if they just vault to a window and they're getting broken windows, you don't want to leech. But you'll see survivors that counter her or survivors that can get out of this circle and not take the 20. Because the way her kit works, she's guaranteed a hit. But if you're cheerleader, for example, and you just speed out, you only took 15. So now you have to make the mistake to give me this hit, because you have to look at me to build the bar the extra 5, and now I can get my free hit. But if you never look at me, I can't get the free hit. So those are survivors that counter. But an average survivor, her kit works perfectly to where you take 20. I gave him 60, right? Now you can say, oh, well, I just want to scare him and take that hit. This is not a bad idea, and this all matters on situation. But since I'm teaching you guys my playstyle, the game plan that I think works the best, I will just go over what I like to do. So now that he's at 67, right? It doesn't matter. It can be 60, it could be 99. It just has to be more than 59, less than 100, right? Usually what I will do is similar to a wax artist. When you build up that bar and then you attack and then you finish the bar after the attack recovery, that's what I do. So I would do here. Oh, well, he owled, but after this owl goes. Okay, so see, he'll do this. I will usually blink, right? And now when I get close enough, I will pull him and hit him. Just pretend like he didn't have another owl. I will pull him and hit him. So that's how my chase works. So I spend the start of the chase harassing. The reason I can do that is because I'm waiting for the blink cooldown anyway. Or I'm bringing not claustrophobia. I'm bringing quenching effect. So I'm just spending this time. It's not wasted time because I'm slowing their ciphers down. But I'm waiting for my blink because I want to guarantee that I'm able to get a second hit. The issue, if you scare them for that hit, is yes, you have blink for the second hit, but there's many things survivors can do to kind of counter blink. They can flywheel the blink, they can get a lot of distance, they can get support, you can just miss the blink, stuff like that. This is a way where I know I'm going to get my follow-up hit because I blinked for the first, and I'm always going to be able to get that scare into the second hit. So the start of the game, I'm just harassing, waiting for the blink cooldown. Once I get it, I'm going to scare, leech, blink hit, scare back into me. That's the down. So let me teleport. Let me get a chair real quick. to show you how the camping works. So the point of her camping is, one, obviously you could probably think it's to harass ciphers. So that is one thing you do. So when you camp, let's say the leech is here, you take the leech out. Say there's a cipher church, you leech this, right? You'll leech that cipher. Okay, when you leech someone while on a chair, you'll see right here, this guy's on the chair, I'll leech him, right? She can see what survivors see, so she can see where every survivor is. If you look through the lens of that survivor, so you can see those yellow outlines, right? This is basically wanted order for free, in a way. So once you leech that first person on that cipher, you want to keep it on them so that you can see where the rescuers are coming from, right? So once you see that, if you know that you can get this ghost to another cipher in time, then do that, right? But don't risk it. When the rescuer comes, let's say it's a merc or whoever, you want to, one, try to scare them while they're coming in, right? So let's say he's walking. You scare. The biggest thing, let me get another chair. So you want to scare them as they're coming in, then you want to build this circle. But you don't want to build it on the survivor that's chaired. The reason for this is because when they save that survivor, you need the circle to get the second hit. Because one of Ivy's biggest weaknesses is you have to think of her like Clerk, to where she doesn't have anything for rebound kiting. That's why, as you'll see later, everyone brings insolence on her so that you can get to max presence as quickly as possible. But you can't leech the chaired survivor, because if you do that, the chaired survivor's leech will be on cooldown. So then you're going to have to sit there with no way to down that survivor. So the point is, when the rescuer gets close enough to the chair, you want to leech them. Because you don't need to leech the rescuer after this. You'll leech the rescuer, 20, 30 seconds later on their next cipher. That doesn't matter. You need that for the chair. So that's how you build that chair. That's very important. You don't do it with the chaired survivor. You do it with the rescuer. It's like with Dream Witch. You don't camp with the leeches. With the chaired survivor's leech, you camp with your spawn follower. It's similar with this. So if you do that, and you build the circle, right, and they're standing here waiting for the rescue, you're going to see their arrow, and basically your job is, when they have an arrow, right? So when the survivor has like at this chair, right? They have an arrow. You want to scare them. You want to get your main body where the arrow is and scare them. Now, keep in mind the values are lower than what it's showing right now, because the values go, like, it builds slower when there's a chair. But you want to find that arrow, scare them. One, it cancels them. So if they're rescuing, it will cancel that rescue. But it builds the bar up. Now, at that point, it's basically like Naiad. So let's say they're at 50, right? You can go for a Terra Shock. So at numbers like 50, 80, 85, there's not, like, that's when the survivor needs to rescue, because at 60, for example, once they get to 60, right? What you can do is, when they get to 60, is you can scare them with the ghost. The point of that is the bar goes up 2.5 times, like, slower. Like, if it's at 40, right, it'll go up 25. So when you scare someone, or 26. So when you scare someone with the ghost, instead of it doing a 40 to them, it does 26 to them. So if they're at 60, right, and you get ready to scare them at 60, let's say it goes 62, 63, that's 26. Now it's at 90, right? And then you just instantly swing. you really hit them at like 94, so it's going to be a double hit. So if you can scare them at the 60, that's a free double hit. So the no man's land is really the 50 to 60 range, because your scare doesn't do anything then. So that's when they should look to rescue. Or it's the 80 to 90 range, because if you attack them, they can rescue. Once you get to 92 and above, they're going to take a double hit, because they can't get out of the chair. They can't save and get out of the chair radius in time before the bar goes up to 100. So at that point, it's just Naiad. It's just guessing whether they'll save or not, and you can try to Terror Shock or not. But the numbers I said before, the 60 and the 92, those are numbers to keep in mind, because that's when you can take advantage of it and get a double hit. I think that should cover basically everything I wanted to go through in the walkthrough match. Anything else is going to be, I'll discuss like a real Ivy gameplay, but I'll get into my gameplay, I'll get into professional gameplay. But that, I just wanted to show the general process of her, how she works, how her camping works, and how I chase with her. So now let's talk about the best persona for Ivy and the best trait for Ivy. So Ivy can use a lot of different personas. So how am I going to do the persona that I recommend, and the most common persona for Ivy, is detention and insolence. This is the best persona because insolence lets you get to max presence quicker. And the point of getting to max presence is you can get rebound kited lesser. You can't get, once you get to max presence, you're basically guaranteed a hit every 43 seconds. So that's how her entire kit works. It's basically, it's centered around let me get to max. Once I get to max, I'm good, right? So insolence is very good, and detention because she's a really good in-game hunter. Now, the things you absolutely must bring on Ivy, no matter what build you use, is you have to go Berserker. Obviously, you have to go Panic, but you have to go Panic on every hunter. You have to go Berserker, because I just told you about how you double hit at the chair. If you don't have Berserker, your attack recovery is too slow to actually double hit. Like, the stun time is quicker. It goes by quicker than your attack recovery goes by. So they'll get stunned, but they'll just run away. So you have to go 1 point Berserker. It does not matter what build you go. Another trait that you usually have to go, but not like have to, but you should go, is Nostalgic. This is because Ivy's really good at double hitting. And if you get the 100 and you hit, let's say it's a Merc, you hit, and then you get the double hit on the Merc, you want to then, and you have Insolence, that means you're at max presence. So now, the person who just got saved, you would think, oh, they have distance on you, right? Because you double hit the rescuer. That doesn't matter, because you have a ghost and you have max presence. So they can't actually do anything to kite you out. But if you don't have Nostalgic, and you just spent this time double hitting the rescuer, right? You may lose that person, the chair survivor, momentarily. You may lose them. And if you do that, that's really bad. So the whole point of her camping, she basically needs Berserker and she needs Nostalgic, right? Berserker 100%, Nostalgic's like an 85%. But you should bring these two. Another one, you should basically always bring Constrain on Ivy. It's a really good trait, but it's really good for her because you need to condense the map, because you want to early game be able to harass at least 1 to 2 ciphers while you're chasing. If the map is spread out in terms of cipher placement, then you can't harass as many. So Constrain, you basically always need. That's it. After that, it's really your preference. Now, this build, in my opinion, is the best Ivy build but this is if you are really skilled at Ivy. The point of this is you're not wasting any points on chase abilities, because in theory, if you're really good at her, you don't need the help. You need information abilities. You need quenching, because that's what makes the whole waiting for blink work. You need announcement, because that helps her a lot in game with detention. It can basically secure, even if 3 people are up on pop, it can secure a 3 elimination game. And you need Hunter's Instinct, because if you're going to go heavy into harassing ciphers and trying to keep up with the person you're chasing, then Hunter's Instinct and quenching does a good job, because you're not losing distance on that survivor. So that's my build. Quickly, other builds that are very popular for Ivy is Hunt. This is a really popular build for Ivy. Hunt is very good on her. It functions similar to how it works on Dream Witch. This is really good. I don't have anything bad to say about it. I don't personally, like I said, I don't need the chase help. I rather not waste points on that, but it's good, and a lot of professional hunters use it. So Hunt's good. Also, Impulsive is good on her. Street Sweeper, funny enough, is actually good on Ivy, if you can find a place to use it. Wanted Order is, ironically enough, good on Ivy, and Impact is good on her. I never go stun. You can go stun if you want. Oh, and then another build people use is this one. One of these two. They'll go pallet breaking on Ivy. This is not bad either. You can go pallet breaking to help her chase. I've never had the need. Like, I've never really felt the need to break pallets faster with her. But the better survivors get at kiting her, you can definitely see more and more people maybe using pallet breaking, using Hunt, using Impulsive to help her chase out. So that's down left. Ivy. Let me put it back on my build. This is, you can also go down right Ivy. Now the weakness to down right Ivy is that you can get rebound kited, because you don't have max presence to secure the down. So for example, if you double hit that rescuer, the person who got saved can just flat out kite you, because you don't have max presence to instantly down them again. So that's the biggest weakness of Trump card Ivy. But the huge thing about it is you get Abnormal, and Abnormal is very strong on Ivy in game. It's very strong on her. So that's a really nice thing to get. You're basically, with Trump card, you're just slowing the game down. You're letting yourself get maybe rebound kited another 15 seconds, because you want to get into a situation that when you click the Abnormal and you're finally at max presence, there's nothing the servers can do about it. But the concern of that is, if the Cypher Rush is quicker than you can get there, then you just, lose the game, or you tie the game. So Insolence is all about kind of speeding the game up for Ivy, speeding up, getting to max quick, while Trump card is about actually slowing the game down. So both are very good. Insolence is more recommended, but Trump card is good as well. And you can do literally, like, this is my build for it, because I go Patroller. And if you do want to know about Patroller, I did a video on that, so make sure to watch that video, because I go over how Patroller works. It's really strong for her, and something I created, but it's the same idea as down left. Like, Hunt's good, Nostalgic's good, like it's the same thing. It's just whatever you want to pick. It's not it doesn't differ in those. It's just the ultimate trait differs. Now, one thing I also do go on Ivy and I don't fully recommend this if you are not very confident in your Ivy, but I do go left right. I left right, you need inertia, berserker, nostalgic. Usually I don't need, because I don't have detention, you don't need announcement, so I usually just put in impulsive. But you can go hunt as well if you want. You can go that, or you can even go some palette breaking, but I usually like to put it in nostalgic, impulsive, and quenching effect. I do go left right Ivy because it's basically giving me the best of both worlds. Early game is I'm speeding up the process of me getting to max, but then I'm going to abnormal you in game to slow the survivor Cypher Rush down. So I'm speeding up my game and I'm slowing their game down. It's really good, but obviously it's really risky because if they pop, that's just it, the game's over. So you have to be really confident in your Ivy, but I do like left right Ivy. I've never seen anyone use it besides me, but it's something I created and it works really well. Now let's talk about the best trait to use for her. And she can use 3 traits. She can use blink, she can use warp, and she can use patroller. So blink and warp function the same exact way. It's just preference and it's just team comp. So if you're facing a team comp of a cheerleader, aeroplanist, patient, survivors that are getting distance, then warp is probably better for her because she can close the distance. But if you're facing survivors where you need the hit, like barmaid or just really normal survivor comps, then I recommend blink. So I recommend blink most of the time. But if you're playing on a map like Moonlit, or if you're facing distant survivors, you can go warp if you want. So those two work the same. Patroller is something I use. You need to, if you go patroller, you have to go down right on it. And a specific way to play it, I'm not going to get into it here, but I did before. You can go down right. The reason why you have to go trump card with patroller is because patroller is useless in game. So you need to be able to switch it to either blink or warp, or you need to be able to switch it ideally to abnormal. But patroller is also good on her. But those are the only traits you can use. Abnormal comes into play in game. You can switch to it, and sometimes you can switch to teleport as well in game. Peeper, excitement, very niche, but like once in a blue moon you'll switch to it if it comes down to it. That's all for the persona and the trait. Let's go into the matchup chart. So basically I do this for every hunter. You have +2, you have +1, you have 0, you have -1, you have -2, and here I even put a -2.5. But the labels are right by it. +2 means they're great for Ivy. These are usually survivors that have to look at her to use their skill. So thief, batter, novelist, They have to look at her to use the skill. Or Weeping Clown, like he can just get scared off of the rocket. Or Explorer is really bad against Ivy because it's just easy to find him. Like if you can just go to where he's supposed to be and you could just spam click the leech button, and it can leech him when he's down. It's like Dream Witch, you can leech when he's hidden. So you can just spam click the leech button and you'll find him. +1, great for Ivy. I mean, good for Ivy. These are just survivors that don't really have anything to counter her. Don't have great abilities. Or you have some survivors like Painter and Auntie who have to look at her to use their skills, so that's why they're good for Ivy. But it's not as bad as the +2s. The zeros, these have pros and cons. So there's good things about them, there's bad things about them. For example, Lawyer is good because he's a quick decoder. Decoders counter Ivy. The reason decoders counter Ivy is because Cypher Rush counters Ivy. She gets Cypher Rush really quickly. Like, people don't realize about her. It's probably the worst part about her is it's really easy to Cypher Rush her. It's really, really easy. So decoders just Cypher Rush her even harder. And the point of Survivor is that you want those ciphers pop before she can really do anything with max presence. So you want to speed up your game. So that's why Lawyer is good, but he doesn't really have anything to kite her. So, and he doesn't have really anything to get out of the max presence. But because he has that innate movement speed boost, that will help him. He won't take 20 from the circle, so he won't take 100. He may take like 16. So that means he'll take 96. It's the same reason why at detention, why you will see a lot more 98s after the ciphers pop than you will see before the ciphers pop. Because you have to remember, most survivors have the persona that gives them a speed boost after the ciphers pop. So because of that, that speed boost is just enough for them not to take the 100. But Lawyer just has that built in. Characters like Forward, like he's a good rescuer, but he can't harass her as easily as he can harass other hunters. Because she can scare his stun, she can scare his dash. Same for like Bad or stuff like she counters harassment. Lucky Guy, he can wish for a watch or an illusion and those counter her, but like nothing else does. Or a core gun. Enchantress, Into, Toy, Patient, Fire, they all can get distance. You know, they all can get distance on her. They all can kite her. But that's really all they can do. They don't really counter max presence. But just kiting her wise, like they can kite her because they can get distance, but they can't counter max presence. So it's pros and cons. Good against Ivy. These are just characters you'll commonly see in tournament. They're good to use. Dancer may seem like a weird one, but by slowing down Ivy's interaction, it just like really affects her. Priestess is really good because she can portal out of the circle. Prospector can be a -2. Like a skilled prospector is actually a -2 because he can cancel out all of the stuns if you magnet while you take the stun. Embalmer's good against insolence because it guarantees a rebound kite because you weren't able to get to max presence on the chair. Acrobat, good. Prisoner, he's just a good Cypher Rush. He's a good decoder. And his skill counters the stone at the cipher because he can decode that cipher even if he's not standing at the cipher. Journalist is just a good rescuer against Ivy because she counters Ivy's camp. And she's a good kiter. And then Gardner's a bit overrated against Ivy. Unpopular opinion, Gardner's a bit overrated in general. But against Ivy, she's actually pretty overrated. It's just because people are used to playing her against Singer. But she is good against Ivy because she can tink some hits. -2, these are survivors that truly counter Ivy. Coordinator, Psych. Ivy's counters are similar to Dream Witch in a way. Healers are going to counter her. So that's why you'll see Psych, Barmaid, stuff like that. Aeroplane is Cheerleader because they can get out of, they counter max presence. Puppeteer, he counters max presence. If you use his ability where he like freezes up, like he doesn't get pulled to Ivy at 100. Feral Lady was specifically designed to counter Ivy. It's pretty obvious. The devs sometimes do this. She was designed because she goes invisible. That removes the ghost, so her whole kit literally counters Ivy. And then even her being able to take other ciphers' progress counters Ivy's in-game, because similar to Prisoner, if she's camping the final cipher with her stone, Feral Lady counters that because she can just do a different cipher with the boost. The reason she's not minus 2.5 is because she's just not good enough. Like, she's literally not good enough, but her kit was built to counter Ivy. Composer is great, and he's actually better than Prisoner. People don't understand. Not in general, but he's better than Prisoner against Ivy. People don't really get, because he does the same thing Prisoner does with Cypher Rush, but he counters max presence. He's like a mini cheerleader. Prisoner doesn't counter max presence. So Composer is the best decoder, and then Merc, Wildling, they're both really good rescuers. And then minus 2.5, they hard counter Ivy. So Magician hard counters Ivy. They switched this in the test server when she first came out. When you go invisible, the ghost gets deleached. So Magician and First Officer just hard counter her because you can't do anything. They counter her early game, and they counter her max presence. They counter everything. Doctor, Barmaid, they are just the best healers against her. Healers counter her the same way it counters Dream Witch. And then Seer, in terms of him kiting Ivy, he's more of a minus 1. But if we talk about his support, that's why he's a minus 2.5. Because it really, ruins Patroller, but even regular Ivy, it ruins her. The same way Seer kind of ruins Dream Witch. Not kiting Dream Witch, but his support ruins Dream Witch. Now let's talk about her best maps. So Ivy's good on pretty much every map, in my opinion. I like her on almost every map, and before the nerfs, I liked her on literally every map. So don't take this tier list, in my opinion, is going to change a lot over the next couple months, because I need a lot more experience with her in high level matches to see what I like. But this is, from what I've done, the best I can really do. Arms Factory is really good for her. Similar way it's good for Dream Witch. Ivy, smaller maps now because of the nerf to her ghost speed. Smaller maps are best for Ivy because, one, it was always the best for her because it lets you control ciphers the best. But now it's really the best for her because her ghost has trouble getting to people on bigger maps. But it's not exclusive. She's not exclusively good on small maps, but they have an inherent perk, inherent perk of using Ivy on those maps. So Orange Factory is the best map. Ever Sleeping is really good. It's like Dream Witch because it's just really good cipher control maps. The middle cipher, like the way it works, it allows you to cipher control really well. The openness of the map. Good maps or Hospital. I personally really like Hospital. For her, that's my specialty for Ivy. But the reason why it's not one of her best maps is because it's a harder map to chase on than Orange Factory is. So you can kite Ivy. That's how you counter it. So while her cipher control is good, you can kite her. And also if they get the cipher spawn top floor of Hospital, you can't really get to that easily. So that's why it's not one of her best maps. Chinatown is a good map because it's a really good cipher control map. It's not one of her best maps because it's a little bit too big. And then Red Church, not her best chase map, but it's really good to cipher control. Okay maps, you have Lakeside and Leo's. The reason for this is really just because they're big maps. So now these maps used to be good, now they're kind of just okay because it's just tough to get her ghost across these maps. But They're still good. They're still more than usable. Also, boat and lakeside is not good for her. And then bad, I used to have this kind of as a good map or okay map. Now I put it bad, is Moonlit. The map is just really big, and her ghost moves so slow. It's just tough to get through this map. I still don't dislike the map, because if you can funnel everyone to one side of the map, preferably the third and fourth stop part of the map, then you can really cipher control that last cipher. So that's why I don't dislike Moonlit. Also, fourth stop is a good starting spot for her chase. But all in all, if the survivor spreads you out, then it's really more of a tie map than anything. Similar how it is for Dream Witch, because it's just tough to control the ciphers. But that does it for the best maps. As for spawn selection, I'm not going to do a spawn selection guide for her, because it's not really as important as it is for like Naiad. It's for her, the whole point is just map out where you want to go beforehand. As long as you can ideally harass 2 ciphers with the ghost and have a good chase target, then the spawn doesn't matter. Like that's literally all that matters. You just have to have a good plan. Like when you're loading into the match, you should have your plan in your head of okay, I'm going to send the ghost here, then I'm going to send it here. Meanwhile, my main buy is going to chase this. Boom, boom. Now I'm going to call it back. Now I'm going to chase that survivor. That's the only thing that matters. The specific spawn selection does not matter for her. Now I will show you guys my own gameplay that I've done with her. And after that, I will get into the professional gameplay. But I want to do my own gameplay because the professional gameplay is before her nerf. So I want to show you gameplay after her nerf and also my thought process while using her. Okay, so let's get into my match. My standard persona. So you can see I'm sending my ghost instantly here. So I'm going to leech the gardener here. This is very important though. If you see, I'm basically pulling the ghost back. I'm not showing it yet because they're going to get a fear radius. And when the survivor gets a fear radius, they're obviously going to move away from the cipher because they don't want to take the leech on the cipher. So that's why you'll see me a lot. I will wait, and now that she's on it, I can leech her. So that's the first one I'm harassing. Now I'm sending this to harass the second one. You notice there is a survivor here. The gardener basically allows her bubble to go to 100, so there's no reason for me not to take that free hit. So now everything's changed. I'm going to harass these ciphers. I'm just going to chase the gardener, because since she allowed me to get free presents, this is a good chase target. I'll leech the cheerleader on her cipher. So I've wasted their time, and now I'm trying to hit the 40. I missed the 40 on the survivor. That's why it's good to show you're not always going to get that. But she was looking on me. I was able to hit 40 with the main body. So now you see she's at 82, and her leech cooldown is off. So now all I have to do is leech her and teleport to her. She does a good job here bubbling to counter that. So now I'm gonna probably blink on her if I get the chance. Right here I realize I don't need to blink on her because you look, the bar is up. So I'm gonna get the hit for sure at this point. The composer cipher about to be done. The acrobat cipher is done. But the cipher that I harassed is only 50. So this is not even the ideal situation. Usually if I'm really doing well, none of these ciphers are popped or only one's popped, and these other ciphers I have at least 2 at like 50. But this was an unconventional start to the game. So I'm instantly going to just leech the cheerleader again, make sure that's slowed, and now I'm going to leech the composer. Now that he's gone to his new cipher, I'm going to instantly pull back to me. Right here, the circle fortunately is already covering the chair, so when I circle this rescuer, I'm just going to cover, you know, the other part, the other side of the chair. This is no man's land right here. It's 60. You see? So I'm just going to attack. It's no man's land. It's fine. You're not going to always get the terror shock. I'll take the free hit. It's okay. Now you see insolence come into play. What did I say? I got insolence. So there's nothing the gardener can do to rebound. Because all I have to do is leech her, max presence, scare her. That's a free hit. But that's why it's very important that I did not leech the chair, because if I leeched her chair, I wouldn't have been able to instantly down her again. So now I have this, and this is fine pace. The goal here is I just have to keep harassing ciphers. So I know the composer cipher is probably pretty far, but I know they don't have another cipher. So I'll try to get to this cipher in time if I can, and I will, so that's good. That'll slow that down. But now I need to get to this one to make sure this one does not go too far. I'm just waiting for the acrobat cooldown to leave. Now that it left, that's good, and now I can just finish this down. Cheerleader did a good job flywheeling the 100, or else that would have been a free hit for me. Composer will finish breaking his, and he will finish his cipher. Now I'm going to keep the ghost by this cipher, but send my main body to the composer. But if you see that, that's a really good play by me right there. The cheerleader is trying to break it. Is trying to break the stone. So I scare her out of the breaking animation, and then I instantly click the teleport to get the free hit. This is very important. Sometimes you can do this by leaving the ghost on the survivor. If there's one cipher left, you can leave the ghost on that survivor, and then when they go to break it, you can go to the ghost perspective, scare them, teleport. That's a free hit. So that's a really good tip just to remember you can do, and I'll be able to get the hit that way. Now the cheerleaders, I'm able to get a free 40 like that. If you look, the cheerleaders leech cooldown's off, so I'm going to be able to get 60 and hit her. My goal here is I have to get to this cipher with the ghost. I have to leech this. I get the leech off, and now I can chair. I want to take the... I'm looking to see where the composer is. I see the composer. If you look, I'm leaving the acro on for a reason. I'm going to hit the composer. But right here, what I don't want is if I take the ghost off, right, and now that she's nerfed, like you can break it quicker. What you don't want, worst case scenario, is I hit the composer, right, but then the acro's able to break that stone and keep decoding that cipher, and his leech is still on cooldown. That's worst case, because there's nothing I can do to stop the cipher. So now, if he can finish the cipher before his leech cooldown comes back up, then they can get the cipher done. So instead, I left it on him so that if he goes to break it, I can just cancel the break, teleport to him, and down him on that cipher. And that's exactly what I did. I hit him. See, I canceled it, teleport, I get the hit. I'll fix this chair, and I'll just leech him on the cipher now. But I did want to get the hit on the composer, because a big thing about Ivy is just getting damage. It's like Dream Witch. You want as much damage as you can get. So I timed it out to where I knew I can get the damage and I can cancel that. I just down the acro. Obviously I don't want to down the composer because he has the cheerleader. I'll down the composer when I know I won't have attack recovery. Now just keep this chair on the cipher. I'll max presence the cheerleader. I knew she wasn't going to be able to use her ability in time to leave it. So once I saw she didn't do that, I can just max presence her. Right there, I actually chaired. I leeched him by the cipher, because it's like if you want to leech by the cipher, it's up to the survivor to be there. So imagine like I drag him to it and then I leech. So it's like it's kind of you taking back control. Like, no, I want the leech. I want the circle on the cipher, so I'm gonna leech you right now, and then I'll cheer you. So now I'm just gonna go to chair the cheerleader. Seeing if I could have scared him, but he was looking away from me. I chair her, and now I can just literally, I can just go back. I can just I try to cancel that, by the way. I do try to cancel that. And right there, I actually like that, because what did I tell you before? The worst nightmare is they break your stone and you don't have, and they're on cooldown. That's what happened. He was going to be able to finish the cipher, so instead I'm able to use warp, which you haven't seen the trait, I don't think, all game, because I just haven't needed to use the trait. But right there, that's why warp's really good, because warp just goes hand in hand with her kit of map control, so it gives you another teleport. So while that teleport was gone because he broke it, my trait basically gave me another teleport. And that's also why scare him, that's why I told you you can cancel that rescue animation with the scare. Now let's get into the pro gameplay of her. So I decided to choose IJL gameplay to use. I don't know, it's turned out that all 3 Hunter Academies I've decided to use Japanese gameplay, but it's just how it's worked out in like the match that I want to display like the best example of like this is a standard IV game, or like this is a standard game, is just come from Japan region. But I definitely think the best IVs in the world right now currently are in IVL. XC, in my opinion, is the best IV in the world, and obviously DX is a really, really good IV. GR's Hunter is a good IV as well, but Hasha is the best IV in Japan. He's the best IV. He was really good with IV early season, really good mid, late. He's really good with IV. So this is definitely good gameplay to use. He's facing AWG, and this comes from one of the earlier weeks of Ivy. But the map's ever sleeping, so this is one of her better maps, and you will see why in this gameplay. As for the bans, Cord, Officer, Merc, Seer, these are all standard bans. These are really good bans. I personally ban Seer and Cord with her, and then I'll ban Officer before I ban Merc, same way he did, and then ban Merc. So those are good bans. If you look at the team comp they're playing, this is a really good team comp. Psycho's very good against Ivy because she takes 3 hits, while her kit really only functions for 2. Cheerleader's really good. She counters Ivy early game, but especially counters Max Presence. And then Acrobat's a great kiter against her, and he has the Cheerleader helping him out. And then Wildling is, if you remember, he's the same tier of rescuer that Mercenary is. Wildling is great against Ivy. He can't get double down. He's great in game. He doesn't quite counter Max Presence, unfortunately. Because yes, his board will counter detention, but then he's going to get hit right after. The only downside of Wildling is if you get leeched and the Ivy goes to you, you can't really get on your board, but he's really good against Ivy. Let's look at the spawn selection. So similar says, spawn selection doesn't matter too much. You just want whatever path is going to give you the best cipher harassment angle. So from here, he's probably going to go straight up to chase the cheerleader, right, to corner house, because he's able to kind of trap her there while he does his work and not lose sight of her. And then he'll probably try to harass the Wildling in the aggro. The Psycho cipher may be a little bit too far out if she goes graveyard, but we'll see. But he already has this plan in mind. He knows what he's looking to do. As for build, you just go standard, down, left, blink, standard build. Pretty sure he's using the build I use. I actually got my build from him. I use different builds sometimes. He uses a different build sometimes, but I actually got my build from him because it's just full scale, just full information. So I think he's using that build in this gameplay, but I may be wrong. As for survivors, yeah, they went broken windows a lot. Broken windows, flywheel, they're both good against Ivy. It's just whatever your preference is. So right here, he's going to take the ghost out. And he's going to instantly start heading to the cheerleader. And see, like, he can't really leech the psycho because that would be wasting time to leech her. So he's going to leech the wildling middle, take it off. And he's going to keep the chase on the cheerleader. Now he's going to leech the acro. Cool. Keep the chase on the cheerleader. Now he's going to use that same, because Eversleeping's so kind of condensed, he can use the same one to get the scare. Also, this is really important that I did not mention. I need you guys to look at the survivor point of view. She's looking behind her. The thing with Ivy's scare is, it's not the... To take the 40, you have to scare them where they're looking. But you have no clue where they're looking. So it's just a guessing game, unfortunately. Right? But a lot of top tier survivors, they'll look behind them because they're not going to look in front because that's the most obvious. So he just flat out guessed that, hey, I think the cheerleader's trying to counter, so I'm going to scare behind. That's where the cheerleader was looking. I usually... It's just gut, really. But I try to scare inside of them. Like, as they're walking, the ghost kind of scares while they're inside of their body. Because if they're looking really any direction, it's not 100% success rate. But it covers most directions. Because it's going to somehow appear on your screen. But, yeah, that's just a really good guess by him. He can use that same ghost. And now he's going to get... the leech, but if you see, she uses her ability, so she doesn't take 60 like anyone else does. She takes 57. So now he has to hope that she looks at him. She looked at him a bit. That's 59. He needs just a little bit more. And there you go. Now she looks. So now he's good. She basically has to kite back into that. The reason he's scared, by the way, is because if she had flywheel, a common strategy is just to go into the circle and reset your bar. So that's why he's scared manually, because she would be waiting for that bar to go up, and then boom, it scares her. So that's a nice hit. And now he's chasing her, but look, he can keep kind of harassing these ciphers. Look, he's going to do what I told you. You want to take it away. Exactly what I told you. You want to take it away from the cipher. Because the wildling got the fear radius. He wouldn't go in the cipher. He thinks that she's taking it to the cheerleader. Then you put it. Boom. And he can just harass the acrobat cipher again. Why not? Look at this cipher progress. Look, you have one person that's unharmed. But that's... especially after the nerf and the speed of the ghost, like, you can't harass 3 people. That's just not plausible. That's fine. You let her decode. Because that means her next cipher is going to be closer to everyone anyway. But you want to... he's literally harassing 2 people's ciphers at the same time he's chasing a survivor. That's the power of this hunter when you use her correctly. And he's going to use the same ghost on the same chase to get the bar up for her. Now he's just going to wait for this cooldown. Cool. The cooldown's done. She's at 60. So whenever he gets his jump scare back. Well, she gave him the free hit, but this doesn't matter. He had blink. He had the jump scare. She's at 60. She was going to get down, like, right here anyway. But this is just very convenient. And he is using the same build. But it's just very convenient. He didn't have to use blink. Now he's just going to go back to harassing. One cipher's done, but these other ciphers are 60, 50. As soon as, yep, he's just going to slow the acro cipher down now. So this is, I just want to say, this is how you alleviate her kind of average chase. She doesn't have the best chase. Like if this is Singer's downing in, let's say, like 30, 40 seconds, or to blink, it took Ivy like, 80 seconds to down. So that's how you alleviate the lesser chase, because her map control is this good. So you have two ciphers at 50 when she gets the chair, even though the chase took 80 seconds. With Singer, the chase can take 50 seconds, but there's going to be two ciphers at 50. So it's kind of the same thing. If you use her correctly, you're getting the same thing from it, but you're just getting way, way better in game. So right there, he leeches the wilding as on the chair to get the circle. That's just no man's land right there. You're just kind of just going to hit just to hit. Make sure you get the damage. And that's really all you can get. The nostalgic right there is the outline on the cheerleader. So he's just going to max presence her. Like that. Because of insolence. That's the power of insolence. If he has trump card, he can't do that. That's not going to be a free hit. But because of insolence, he just gets a free hit. And there's nothing she can do. The acrobat is finally completing his cipher. This is literally going to be her second cheer. The acrobat is a normal decoder. He has no decoding debuff. He just finished that cipher. On top of that, Eversleeping's so good because you have this middle cipher, and now that's harassed again, and now the acrobat is going to have a tough time doing that. So while the Psycho's about to finish her second, the Wildling's only done 60% progress. The acrobat's only done 100% progress. He's trying to, see, he scares where the arrow is right there, but the Wildling's able to get the save off at a good time. Cheerleader took a lot there, so all he has to do is, he doesn't even have to use his max presence for her, he can just scare her. And now when he gets this first person eliminated, they'll be finishing middle finally. Pretty much finishing middle. He'll get a little bit more juice out of that, but now they have to do a whole cipher. And with Ivy, that's tough to do, especially in Eversleeping. It's going to be really tough because the ciphers are so close, because he didn't worry about Graveyard. He let the Psycho do Graveyard early game, because now without Graveyard, you don't have a safe cipher that you can do. There's no safe ciphers. All the ciphers are condensed. So now Ivy can really control the game. She gets the max presence hit right there on Psycho, but there's no reason to keep the chase up. She can literally just stay here. She can just camp these ciphers, and when she gets her max again, 20 seconds off cooldown, she'll get another hit and another hit, She'll leech the Wildling right there, because why not? This allows her to get a circle on that cipher. And her goal here is that the Wildling can't really bore, so why not chase him a bit? But she has to make sure they don't get free cipher progress, so she does. The Wildling does get the bore off in time, and look, the Psycho's really good. The Psycho knows exactly what she's trying to do, so she doesn't want to give the circle at the cipher, which is nice. But unfortunately, there's nothing she can do to max, right? There's literally nothing she can do. Like, it's just a free down. Because Psycho's really good, but Psycho doesn't counter max. If that's Cheerleader, right? Cheerleader's going to counter that. That's why survivors that counter her the most are survivors that can counter max presence. Just leech. At this point, it's just, they need to do a cipher, but there's just no way you're going to get a cipher off. Hit the Wildling, and look, he's looking at the acro, and now he's just going to teleport to the acro. He's looking at the bar, and he can blink for that. The acro, as survivors going to do, it's nothing wrong with the acro because they need cipher progress, but he's going to get greedy. He got greedy for the progress, and that's fine because you need the progress. But just know, a good Ivy is monitoring everyone's bar, and they're going to get the hit, like if you get greedy, and that's what he did right there. Slows down the Wildling cipher, and now if he wants, he can just wait till max presence is up again, and he could just down the Psycho, and now no one can even save the Psycho, and you have Yeah, see right there? Just wait till Max is up. He camps the Cypher with his main body so no one can do it. And then he just is stalking the psychologist. Now he's able to get the hit. Everyone's injured. And the Cyphers still aren't ready to be primed. So, it's game over. He'll send this to slow down the aggro because obviously he expects the wildling to save. Like if anyone's going to come to save, it probably would be the wildling. So that's why he went to the aggro first. And you see it was the right idea because the wildling gets on the board right after that. Aggro is going to be greedy for Cypher progress, but look, he has Max back. He has Max presence again. Good on the aggro. He put the pallet, so that's how he was able to counter it. If you see right here, he saw the bar for the wildling going up, so he knows the wildling must be at the chair. That's very important. You have to look at the bars a lot to understand what the survivors are doing. So as soon as he saw the bars going up, okay, cool. The wildling's right there. Let me go back. Aggro did a really good job basically baiting out the teleport, baiting out the Max, because he had a pallet up and there's no blink. But, it's just still not enough to get it. He's going to trap the aggro in, puts the circle that way, but comes from the other way. So, where's the aggro really going to go? The reason I'm going back is because I didn't touch on this before. But because survivors can't really look at the Ivy while they're kiting her, and Ivy has unlimited camera mind games because as long as a stone is up, she can use that to manipulate her flashlight. One really good thing about her is if you want to build up that bar, so like when you need it at 98 or 96 and you're trying to get that up to 100, one really good thing you can do is basically use camera mind tricks because they can't look at you the same they look at any hunter, so it's easier for them to fall victim to those mind tricks. On top of that, you can use that to get a 40, like a main body jump scare, because their camera may wander over to you because of your mind games, and then you hit them with the 40 because of that. You hit him with a jump scare from the main body. See right there, he's just able to move himself enough, gets him in view of the aggro and that down to aggro. At this point, he's just going to down the wildling when he can. There's nothing really they can do. Ivy's unlike other hunters. She basically has free deer hunt all the time. She can always see incapacitated survivors. But as this video's winding down, this video is longer, I believe, than my other Hunter Academies. I think so. Ivy's just a really, really complicated hunter. There's a lot of things I had to talk about, and there's even more things I can talk about. So if you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments below. I tried my best for you guys to really fit everything I could into this, because I know there's not a lot of great Ivy knowledge or not a lot of great Ivy experience yet in this server. So I wanted to share that with you guys. And if you did enjoy this video, please give it a like. If you want to see more guides like this in the future, please subscribe to the channel. I'll look to do a guide probably every other week or so. The next one I should be doing will actually be my first survivor guide on mechanic. But if you have suggestions for hunter guides that you want me to do, or even survivor guides, make sure to leave in the comments below, because I'm really open to any of them, just whatever you guys want. So make sure to leave that in the comments below. But if you do want to see more guides like this in the future, please subscribe to the channel, and that'll be all for the video. Bye.